progress.
We're going to call the Springfield City Council work session to order with roll call.
Mayor Van Gordon,
Here.
Councilors Weber,
Here.
Mo,
Here.
Rodley, here, Doyle, here, and Missionary.
Yes.
All right. Looks like we have one item, this evening street lighting energy saving performance contract update. That's a mouthful. Brandon Scott.
Thank you, Mayor Van Gordon. Good evening, councilors and mayor. We are going to give you an overview of where we're at with this particular project. And first, I'd like to start by introducing the other participants here and also key people. Our project lead is Scott Miller. He's been our project manager and he's a technical expert for the project. And Neil Obringer from the finance department has been our financial analyst and key to making this project work. And then also I'd like to introduce Andrew Williamson from McKinstry. He is our consultant and also, and when I say consultant, I need to clarify that it's not our traditional, we have a consultant do the design and we hire a contractor to do the implementation. It's a one company package. So they will do everything with sub-consultants or subcontractors. So the reason I bring that up is that it's a different contracting model than we're accustomed to. And McKinstry was also selected by us when we did the Main Street and South A Street lighting project that came about because of the ODOT emergency pedestrian project and other components beyond lighting. But because ODOT couldn't deliver that on their own, they asked us to do it. And so we went with McKinstry and they did an excellent job. They're very tight timeframes and I think they're really delivered a really good project. So I thank you for your time tonight, and we're going to refresh a little bit of what occurred in our most recent June meeting that talked about this project. That embarked phase one. We have completed phase one, and we're ready to begin on to phase two. And in a couple of council meetings from now, you might actually see a contract for final approval. And so I'm going to ask Scott to go through the slides, and we only have, I think, 5 or 6, so we're not going to belabor it, but we'll give you plenty of time for questions. We prefer them at the end, but if you'd like to ask them as we go along, that's just fine as well. So, Scott.
I'm trying to go forward.
Turn it on the left side.
It's on.
Okay. Then I will help you.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. I just wanted to do a quick recap. I know that most of you are familiar with this project already, so I don't want to belabor the old details. There's some numbers in front of you as far as the current cost of our program and kind of where things stand as a status quo. We have already talked about the energy savings and maintenance benefits associated with this program. So I'm happy to answer any questions at the end, but it's clearly a needed product for us to put in Springfield. So last June, we presented and got approval to proceed with this project. We went forth and did a competitive bid to get ESCO on board. We had 2 bidders at that time, and McKinstry was selected based on their more competitive bid package. So we executed a contract with McKinstry last summer to essentially deliver the whole project, but the first portion being the audit and the project development plan sort of determines the entire scope of the project. They went ahead and audited every streetlight in the city and basically came up with a final, here's exactly what we're going to do. Here's exactly what it's going to cost at a maximum cost. And here's a minimum of what you're going to save from an energy standpoint. Can you go to the next slide, please? So now that we have gone through that audit process, I'll show you a slide that McKinstry gave us. But the result of that is the total project cost is going to be a maximum of $3.2 million. That is a guaranteed maximum price, and McKinstry will work hard to basically execute that or beat it. And essentially any money that is unspent as a result of that will go back into our budget, and it's not, profit for them. They will essentially work to deliver that money, any extra money back to us. And that's part of their legal, the contract structure. Next slide, please. So the audit revealed, basically, we have about 5,000 streetlights throughout the city. There's a map there on the left, and that shows all the streetlights throughout the city of Springfield boundary. We have a mixture of LED and legacy fixtures, and we know that we knew that we had all these things, but we didn't know necessarily the exact numbers. So now we have the exact numbers, and we know exactly which lights need additional repairs, like damage or tree trimming that's maybe blocking the light, things of that nature. So that audit that we did over the last few months essentially gave us this full project scope that we can work forward on. Next slide, please. So right now, this is the schedule for the project. We are currently in the contract approval process, the top row there. We, as Brian mentioned, will be asking for contract approval for the full maximum contract amount shortly, and then we'll roll straight into engineering and construction. And we should be able to get this project done before the end of the calendar year. And then the following year will be our essentially seeing those savings start to accumulate, and we can measure that and verify it. So I know there's a lot more that I didn't say, and you guys know a lot already. So I don't think we have anything else specifically, except maybe Brian does.
I do. I just, Scott mentioned that the funding would roll back into the project if there isn't a full expenditure of the $3.2 million. Our funding source is the ARPA program. And so it's an excellent source for us in that it buys down the return on investment to a much higher rate, i.e. immediate. And so we don't have to quote borrow money or make use of funds that are internal to the city. The grant funds are a great source. So whatever ARPA funds we don't expend, of course, will roll back and be able to be used on other ARPA-oriented projects.
Right, Joe. So, first of all, bravo. You don't hear me say that very often, do you? Bravo. This is an amazing project. I am so flipping happy that we finally got this. Tell you again, in 2004, it was one of my 2 reasons why I became a counselor, literally. So it's 18 years of me waiting, and I'm really happy I waited to see it. You guys are super awesome. I think I've heard so much positive feedback from people. I am so excited to see. I'm a firm believer since 18 years ago that our Main Street safety, a lot of that hinges upon the lighting at night. And many people have died because of poor lighting, right? Poor decision making, but still poor lighting, I think, is very directly responsible for those folks not seeing very well at night. I think that family of 4 over on 54th could very well have survived that night had it been seen easier. That being said, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to seeing if that is actually true in the future. We'll see how that holds out, but I think it's going to be very helpful. That also, now when it was presented, and it can be memory here, it could be skewed. When it was first presented, was it like 2.2 million, or is the 3.1 the same figure we got earlier on last year?
Scott, you want to take that one?
Sure. So last year we presented a number that was 2.75 million. And essentially the audit is what gave us the accuracy to determine what the final cost was going to be.
Additional 5 million or half million. So then the project, the time for it to play out, completion time, are we gonna be running into, because people seem to think they could just bump prices up randomly now and blame whatever. Probably less profits unless they bump it up and they get more profits. No one seems to be winning on that battle, but are they gonna be in a position, they're locked in, right? They're not gonna be able to, no one's gonna be able to say, oh gosh, these cost overruns, blah, blah. So that's an absolute maximum.
Right.
3-1.
That's correct. As part of developing this proposal that McKinstry provided, they obtained quotes from vendors and contractors. And they have essentially, if I understand correctly, basically guarantees that, or they're delivering this project to us for that cost. And so if there was a cost overrun, it would not be seen by us.
They'd have to eat it. So, but is there any incentives to reduce the cost?
Well, yes, there is the incentive and they have the guaranteed maximum, but they still have the different pricing elements that come up to that guaranteed maximum. And it is not in their interest to try and run it up to the end. I'd have to ask Andrew to explain the specific details of that if you want that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, are they incentivized to not come in at the maximum?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. The reason behind that is when we have a construction budget, that construction budget is set as a guarantee. And our fee is tied to that construction budget. But if we execute more efficiently, our fee does not go down. So our fee is fixed. And so that, and the reason it's fixed is because if it was tied directly to that construction value, you'd bet that we'd spend every penny. So that puts us on the same team as you to try to drive the costs as efficiently as possible. And we want a good reputation in the industry and want to make sure that we get a good reference from the rest of you so we can do more of this kind of work with other entities. So
I'm super happy about it.
And that was demonstrated in the ODOT project. They guarantee a price and it's delivered.
I like it. Victoria?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I have to agree with Councilor Piscineri that it's a great project. But one thing I wanted to ask about, which I saw happen in Eugene when they did this similar project, is people are used to that darker light. And now all of a sudden they have light shining into their bedrooms, right? And so the question for me is, do you have some sort of a contingency for being able to put up those blocks towards the homes that helps keep that light from shining into people? And if so, are we going to put that burden on our public works department and our traffic folks to do that, or how is that going to work? Because it's going to happen. People are going to, as much as this is an awesome thing, people are going to complain about too much light into their house.
So, Councilor Doyle, thank you for the question. Absolutely, we will address that. And there's a number of different ways that we can do that. So actually, at this point, about 50% of our city has already been converted over to LED. So we've already got experience with those kinds of complaints and issues coming in. I would say that, so one is, yes, we will have the ability to install shields where they are needed. We also will have the ability to dim lights if that presents an opportunity to provide a more balanced approach in certain situations. And I think the last thing that we are proactively doing is there's certain locations where the lights were originally installed with a different distribution, a different lighting distribution that goes out in a different way. And so as a part of the audit, we identified locations where the mast of the light is like oriented in a less than optimal direction. And part of this project is going to fix that and rotate them so that almost all the light will be spread down the street instead of sideways into people's houses, particularly the corner lots.
That's fantastic. Excellent. And again, I'm super happy about this project too. I think when we shine light on the dark, it can help prevent so many things that go on. And so, yeah, I'm stoked. Thanks.
Steve, hopefully the light makes the creepy crawlers go away, but not all of them. You said dimming possibility. Each light has intelligence in it, correct?
Yes, this system will include a dimming functionality that we can control remotely.
Right.
And we'll be able to do a number of things and dim and do maintenance activities that we cannot do currently, because we'll be able to see each light and program them and do all sorts of things.
Remarkable what technology has achieved.
All right, anybody else? This is a great project. I mean, everybody's excited about it, and I think it says something about how we as a city are spending our ARPA dollars to understand that like there's a clear investment in the community, a clear return and a clear benefit. So I'm really excited for the community to see this. With that, I think we are done. So I'm going to adjourn us for the evening. Everybody enjoy your evening.